Good morning. Welcome to the Community for Conscious Living weekly live broadcast. Today is Sunday, June 2nd of 2024. The Community for Conscious Living is a community dedicated to personal transformation for universal harmony, healing the planet by making inspired changes in ourselves and in our daily lives that create a sustainable environment and a peaceful world. We are here to heal our hearts, live sustainably, and foster peace throughout the planet, God willing. So today, our topic, this being the month of June, we are, it's the month of Father's Day. And before the recording started, I was just talking about this. I'm in Montana, and this is the longest I've been away from my father for 7 years, in the 7 years that I've lived with him. And um, yeah, I think I'm feeling a little homesick, a little missing him a bit. And I am excited this month. We have 5 Sundays in June. 4 of those 5 Sundays, I'm going to be sharing with you things that I've learned, lessons I've learned in living with my dad, and that have just brought me incredible blessings. And um, I'll share just some of the things that I've seen and witnessed and learned. And I think it can really help us all when it comes to, with our understanding of our parents and healing those relationships, with healing our hearts, and also really coming to a place where we can honor our elderly throughout, any elderly in our lives, because it's really important. And I know you know that. So I'm going to share some stories. Today is going to be specifically about letting go of our attachment to outcome and being present, just really being present with, and, um, letting go of the time thing. Because time, with respect to elderly, is, I think when you reach a certain point in a certain stage in your life, you have a different relationship to time. And sometimes if you're in the, like, I know a lot of us are in our, like, 40s to 70s here. We're still got quite a bit of life left in us, and a lot of things that we're engaged in. And we have a different relationship to time. And when we were younger, we had a different relationship to time. So, I'm going to talk about relationship to time, how it shifts, and how we can kind of meet our elderly and where they are in their relationship to time and the time that we have to spend with them. So, thank you for joining us today. Let's go ahead and come into our meditation and healing circle. Let's come into our circle, sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, coming together as one. In the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate. Let's bring everything to just come together in the center of our circle. Face, your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, your throat, your heart, your belly space, everything, just bring it to center and focus right in front of you. And together, as we call on our source, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we call on you, we ask you to send your essence of your pure divine light. And let's just feel this essence of light as it streams into the space right in front of you. And just let it fall on your skin. Let it be absorbed in through your pores all the way into your body. Receive that pure divine light and let it just completely surround you and warm you, hold you, contain you, soothe you. And just imagine this light as it streams, or feel it however you do, as it streams through the top of your head and moves through the core of your body. And just, if you're in a position where you can, elongate your spine, kind of align your spine in a straight line as best you can, a naturally straight line. And just imagine that coming through the top of your head and moving through the center core of your body, halfway front to back, halfway side to side, moving through and filling your entire core with light as this light also surrounds you and penetrates your skin and is absorbed all the way in through every cell. And light is like electricity. It travels through the nervous system. Just let it travel all the way through your body and all the way into this core channel. Your central nervous system is filling your entire being with pure divine light. Pure divine light. And as my teacher used to say, letting it come from the outer to the inner. And as it fills the inner, letting it emanate to the outer until there is no inner and no outer, but only one light. Let it just fill you from the outside to the inside and emanate from the inside to the outside, and invite every cell of your body, to absorb this pure divine light. This light, again, is cleansing, it's purifying, it's illuminating, and just clear up a lot of clutter and old stuff that we carry around. And again, facing everything to the center of the circle. Together, let's call on our source in the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate. We call on you. We ask you to send your essence of your unconditional love. And just imagine this love streaming into the center of our circle, into the space right in front of you. And especially turn your heart center toward this stream of love, that funnel that extends from the front of your chest space. Just let it tip up and receive this unconditional love. Let it be like a funnel that pours into your heart. And you can focus your breath right into your heart space and inhale that unconditional love in through your heart. And sometimes we have some blocks and barriers around our heart, some cages around our heart, walls around our heart, and that's okay. Just let that love flow through that space as best you can. And let your breath just around that space. And if there's anything that you don't need to be holding on to, any of those blocks and barriers, you can release those as you exhale, blow them out. As the poet Rumi says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. We can find those barriers and gently release them as they're ready to release, and a lot of them are. They don't really want to hold on. And if they do want to hold on, just let that unconditional love, just let it flow around them and hold them and love them. Everything is worthy of unconditional love, right? Unconditional means unconditional. We don't have anything to prove. We don't have to earn it. Nothing. It is just love, and love does what love does. It loves, and it's loving. Just let it surround those places, love them, hold them, and let them flow through all the way into the depths of your heart, right? As you elongate your spine and just let that love flow in through your heart space, just let your conscious body kind of lean back in to your physical body, right? Not necessarily changing your physical, but leaning into it, like leaning back up against your spine, into that space between your heart and your back body, and leaning into that, and just let this unconditional love flow through your heart center all the way through, and just bathe you like a gentle waterfall as you rest into the back of your body. In a Buddhist retreat center, here come the bells. Let those bells help your heart if you can hear them. Just let them help your heart. Like let that gentle ringing. You might want to give a tapping around your heart space also. Help to loosen up some of the stuckness and help the heart to soften and open. You can even tap all the way up under your collarbones, and a gentle streaming down the sides of your neck where your lymphatic system is. Helps to loosen that up, and it really does help to increase the flow of energy as it moves through your body and frees more of you up to receive this unconditional love. So just like with the divine light, where you invited every cell to be cleansed by this pure divine light and to absorb this pure divine light, let every cell of your body, invite every cell of your body to absorb this unconditional love. And every cell carries consciousness, carries memory. So let these cells, whatever they are carrying, let them absorb and be infused with this pure divine light and unconditional love. And again, just turning everything to face the center of our circle, the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate. We call on you, we ask you to send your essence of your eternal compassion. Just sense, feel, imagine this pure compassion, just like the air that surrounds you. Imagine every atom, every particle is pure compassion, and it surrounds you, it holds you, it is loving, it is accepting, it envelops you, it protects you, it sees you exactly as you are. And as my teacher used to say, to go behind, he'd say, don't stop with the outside pictures, go behind and behind and behind and behind and behind until you find the truth, until you know the truth. So if there's part of you that says, oh, I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be known, I don't want to, I did this or I did that, you know, just let this compassion go behind and behind and behind and behind and behind and through all of it, and let your entire core of your being be held in love and compassion and infused with pure divine light. And let's just do one more. Just invite all of the parts of yourselves, right? We have many parts of ourselves that scatter about and they hold different opinions and views and everything. So invite all the parts of yourself to join you at the center core of your body. As Neil Douglas Klotz says in his book, The Sufi Book of Life, invite the cacophony of yourselves to join you around wisdom's table with your heart at the center of wisdom's table. So invite all of the parts of yourselves to join you. Unconditional love, remember, as they are, they're fully loved and accepted and known. They are known. Sometimes we have blinders to them, but they are known, they're loved and accepted. They're known not just for their outside pictures, but for what's behind and behind and behind and behind until the truth of your being, which is pure divine light and unconditional love and compassion. So as you inhale, draw them into the core of your body, and then exhale, drop down, land into your hips, land into your pelvic bowl, anchor at that center of gravity in your pelvic bowl, lean into your spine, absorb this light and love, and rest into this compassion. Let your entire being rest into compassion and be held and be loved. Be held and loved. So I want to talk today about being present with while letting go of attachment to outcome or any need to save or fix or any such thing as that. And just being in the time relationship rather than the outcome relationship. If you have a loved one in your life, as I said, that you sometimes get frustrated with or lose patience with, or you just want to take charge and do the things for them that they can't do for themselves, then I invite you to just like invite their spirit to be here with you. And as you do, and I'll say this can be with children too, right? It's the same. I know sometimes, with children, you're just in a hurry and you need to get things done and you need to get somewhere and you don't have the time and, they're moving a little too slow. They're in their learning process and you just say, oh, move out of the way. Let me take this. Let me do this and just, sit down, get in the car, do whatever, and like we got to go. And I get it. There's times where we do have to do that. It's also so important to recognize their relationship to time, which is different from, it's probably different for every individual, but I know it's definitely different at different stages in our lives. So let's look at, what a time means to someone. And I'm been living with my father for since he was 94. He is now 101, and in October will be 102. We're nearing that 102. And so I'll tell you some stories because one of the things that, uh, you know, when I first moved in with him, I noticed that he's watching a lot of television and game shows and things like that. And at first, my first reaction as someone who was living in, without a television, not wanting to have television rule my life, not wanting to give all of my energy to like, my statement was, I don't want to sit on my butt and watch other people live their lives. I want to live my life, right? But he was doing what he could do. He was a very active person in his prime, very active, worked very hard, did a lot of things. He never watched television. And we kind of thought when he retired that he wouldn't last very long because he wouldn't be so busy because he was so busy with his work. He was a baker, and a lot of you know that already. He's third generation French baker. He was very busy in his bakery and he loved creating things and with food art and gifts of food. It's a beautiful beautiful thing. And so to come into his home having not had a television, having been very active, I had my routine, 2 hours a day of meditation, 2 hours a day of working out, and then by 8:30 I was ready to work. I had been up for hours and or done these things that just made me feel really good. And my work was, this work, doing healing sessions and personal development programs and meditations and things that I absolutely loved. And, I've had to really shift my schedule in the time that I've been living with him more and more as time goes on. And, it's been a challenge. But what I learned in going to be with him is that he was doing what he could do. And not only was he doing it, he was, not, it's not just to like pass the time, but he was making the most of it. He was engaging with it. And I recognize it's like, oh, I would hear a friend of mine talking about his mother that, when his father died, his mother just sat and she sat in her room and she didn't want to have anything to do with anybody. She didn't want to go out of the house. She just wanted to waste away until her time would come. And she was hoping it would come soon. When I moved in with him, he had just lost his wife and he was living alone again for the first time in many years. I can't remember exactly how many, 12 years, something like that. And he had some health challenges. And he could have done that. He could have said, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and, like, recognize I can't do everything I used to do and let myself waste away. And he didn't do that. He chose to work with what he had and to make the most of it. And so I recognized that and I sat down and decided to do that with him. Like, yeah, it was my preference to have the life I was living and to not have the television on. At that time it was, but I had to really ratchet back my energy and dial it back to sit and be present with him and engage. And I would have, hear other people come over and say, "Oh, I can't believe he watches those stupid game shows. I can't believe he does this. I can't believe he does that." What are you going to do? So if you hear yourself, because this is so common, because I'll tell you what, most everybody does that. Most everybody has that reaction. But if you can recognize, like if you hear yourself saying that, take a deep breath, blow that out, let that go. Recognize, what is he making with what he has in front of him? What is he doing with the capability that he has? And if you are a person who is aging and whose body is not able to do all of the things you used to do, look at, what are the things around you that you can make the most of, that you can do, that you can really have patience with yourself. Because sometimes the voices are for ourselves, right? Sometimes I say, "Oh gosh, I can't believe I'm sitting and watching these game shows," but it's what I can do with him right now. And so what do we do when we watch the game shows? We compete, right? And so, Price is Right on the showcase. "All right, Dad, what are you bidding on this one? This one has a 5-day trip and it has a kitchen and it has a this and that. What are you going to bid? How much you think?" So, it really keeps the mind engaged and keeps the mind sharp, right? On like tracking things. It's just like we play cards at night and things like that. And that keeps the mind sharp, and it keeps the enthusiasm up. It keeps the engagement. We're doing what we can, making the most of it. And so that's, um, that's about like changing, because I can tell you in my relationship with time, I would be thinking on my inside, like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many things I need to be doing right now in this time that I have. And this feels like a waste of my time." But with him, it is not a waste of his time. It is like really engaging and keeping the mind sharp and being with what he can do and be, and keeping the attitude and the spirit up, and having someone to come in and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe that that's what you're doing with your life," and blah, 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 blah. That really deflates and it sucks the life force out. But having someone come in and say, "Hey, I'm going to engage with this with you, and we're going to make a game out of it, and we're going to have fun with it, and we're going to spend time in this way," and like really making it an experience, an uplifting experience, that builds the life force right back up. And so just know that it's not about what you're doing with the time that you have, it's about how you're doing it. And I'll tell you something that has been a byproduct of this that is very important. And because during the commercials, and I think part of this is just creating that engagement and that connection, and that brings about that ability to open up. He's shared with me some things that in the 100 years of life, that, well, I'm not 100, I'm only 60, but in my 60 years of life with him, that he's never shared with anybody in the family. And even if I've heard some of the stories multiple times, rather than saying, "I heard that before," what we can ask ourselves is, why is this so important to him that he wants to tell it multiple times? What is it in that it's telling us about who he is as a person in his heart? He's told me stories that I'd never heard before. He was born in 1922. In that age, in that, you know, 30s, 40s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, there were horrible things happening in our world and he lived in the South in Galveston, Texas, and there were horrible things happening to Black people in the name of racism. And, as we all know that these things have happened, but to hear him tell about some of the things that he witnessed firsthand and how it impacted him and affected him, and how, just to, like, I never put it together that he actually saw some things. And to hear him tell it from his point of view, and how badly it upset him as a child has really, it's given me more insight into the compassion that he has for humanity and the pain that he has experienced in his life, and why maybe when he got to the age where, I'm number six of his six children, where he had six kids and he was doing everything he could to make a living to feed these mouths and to care for this family, why maybe he had some hardness in his heart. Another story he's told me repeatedly is about a young nerdy kid at his school, and I've used that in air quotes, that there were a group of four boys that were like these bullies, that no matter where they saw that kid, if they'd see him around town in a store or in a restaurant or on the beach or whatever, that they would beat that boy, beat him up and hurt him. And my dad has told me that story several times about this poor kid and these four bully guys that used to, just wreak havoc on this guy and cause him so much pain. He told me another story about when he and my mother were first married and they lived in a house, and two doors down, the man was horribly abusive to his children, and there was nothing that he could do. And I feel the stress in his heart and the distress and the sense of helplessness that he felt. Things were different back then in the way, that we've taken a stance against all of those things that I just mentioned. There are resources available for all of those things that I just mentioned, right? It's a different level of our our acceptance or non-acceptance of those abuses. Back then, it was accepted. There was a level of acceptance that was, there was nothing you could do about those kind of things, and it pained him. And I hear him tell those stories. And, when I first heard it, I kind of put up my own wall. The second time I heard the stories, I could like be present with him, but like, oh gosh, this is hard to hear. The third time I heard those stories, I'm like, wow, I can be present with your heart and feel you and recognize who you are as a person and how much you care. And that tells me something about you that I can have a deeper love and appreciation for, and perhaps some understanding of who you are and how you developed in your life and what shaped you, right? And the things that now, as you're nearing the veils, as we will, to getting, I believe as we get older, the veils get thinner, right? Um, and some things that perhaps in sharing with me is his way of atoning for not doing the things he wished he would have done to intervene, but feeling that helplessness. So, like, what are the things as you hear these stories from your elderly loved ones? What are the things that you can come to know about them and learn about them and understand about them? Listen, like, be present with the heart and listen more deeply. Be present and like, what is it that they are really sharing with you of themselves, right? And I know that as my father, thank goodness, has his mind is very sharp. I've been around in this time that I've been with him, two of my mother's sisters and one of my father's sisters who all had Alzheimer's and dementia and were, not so present. But even in their stories, there's, with their long-term memory, the things they choose to share with you, there's something there. And if you hear it again, go deeper. If you hear it again, go deeper. It really teaches us about, we we come in to our parents' lives when like, they've had a whole childhood in front of them. And in my case, my dad had 40 years before, when I was born. And, you know, we don't know everything about what shaped them or how it shaped them. So we have a really beautiful opportunity if we can be present and listen, as my teacher used to say, listen with the ear of your heart. And it gives them an opportunity that they may have never had in their lives because, just recognize what we have right now as in our like our personal development, our personal growth, our like teachings about how to listen, about how to be present with each other. They didn't really have that. It wasn't, it wasn't a part of their culture. So like they may be really being heard or trying to be heard for the first time ever. So when you come to be with them, as I said, let go of your um, attachment to outcome about what's going to happen in your time with them. Be present. Let yourself engage with them on their relationship to time, what needs to happen within the time frame that you have to spend with them. Be in, like, have that listening heart. What are you being given through this? What are you being shown? What are you being taught? What can you learn? Be with that. And another thing, so let's just take that into a meditative practice and notice the place in your heart, whether it's with your significant other or with your children, your grandchildren, your parents, whatever that may be, your grandparents, and just notice that place in your heart that might say, like, find it difficult to be with their time and pace and their relationship to time, that might feel like there's a certain agenda of whatever has to happen in your time with them. And just let your heart just receive. If your heart is like on an active energy, or your nervous system's on an active, like, gotta get her done time schedule, just let that kind of dial back and rest into this space of compassion. Doesn't mean you can't call that back in when you need it, but as you are present with this loved one, with the spirit of this loved one, just let yourself be present. Let your heart connect to their heart. Let the ear of your heart listen to their hearts. What is it that their hearts are sharing with you? Why are you here with them? How can you be? Just be. Just be, live, love, learn, right? It's a beautiful thing. And another thing that I want to share about that I think is really important about being with in their time, in their timing, they don't necessarily move as fast as we do. We don't move as fast as we did when we were younger either, right? And we're all moving. Um, so sometimes, like, when my dad he has lots of projects. He loves projects. He loves to try to fix things that, I know you may have heard me talk about this before, but things that we think, oh my gosh, really? You're going to fix that? Let's throw it away. But it's something that he wants to do. He doesn't want to just throw it away and get a new one. He wants to fix it. He wants to repair it, to beautify it, to whatever. And that's how he does his projects. Now, he can't physically do everything that he used to do, but it's still something that he likes to do. And he feels like he's like doing something productive and meaningful when he can restore something and reuse it versus throw it away and get a new one, right? Big lesson in our own um, sustainability, right? And for our own sustainability of our planet, because everything takes resources from the planet. So I've learned a lot about how to restore things that I thought there was no way that they could be restored, just by being his hands, and the things that he can't do, I'll help him. And here's the thing, sometimes we want to say, okay, you can't do that. You're going to take too long, or you're going to fall, or you're going to do this or that. How can you give them support so that they can physically do just even a little bit? And the rest of it, like, you just be the person who shores it up. Don't take it over. Don't take charge. Don't go in and if you, and I'm just saying a lot of don'ts here, but it's only because I witness it. I witness it in other people with their parents or even with my parent, where they say, "Oh, here, let me just do that for you." And like, take it away. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. I'll do it. Right? We do that with children too. So wherever it fits in your life, that's another place where, okay, recognize a sense of time and a sense of patience, a sense of being with what is your purpose? Your purpose is not there to, like, that agenda is not to get it done. The agenda is to serve them in a way where you can support them to still be productive and feel productive and be a part of the process. So what can they do? How can you support them to, like, have some hand in it so that they are actively engaged and, like, a part of the process, and you do the rest, not from a take it away and do it, but from just a coming up underneath and providing that support, being the hands, and ask for their advice. How would you do this? What do you think is the best way? Right? Give them choice. Don't take away their autonomy. Don't take away their capability. Don't take away their voice. Don't take away their choice. Right? Engage with them and be an advocate for them to keep all of those things. Right? This is your idea. This is your project. This is how you want, like, what you want to see happen with this. Give them that autonomy, right? Give them, okay, this is still going to be yours. I'm not going to take it from you to do it for you, right? Give them that capability, that sense of capability and accomplishment, right? Give them what they can do, even if it's just, okay, push that button to turn on this piece of equipment now, and okay, push that button to turn it off, like, so that they're, and let them tell you, let them teach you, even if you would do it differently or a better way, just let them feel useful in that way, because your chances are going to learn something. I've learned a ton from my father. Learned a ton. I mean, I've repaired air conditioning and electrical and old lawnmowers, and and old swing sets and everything else that I just didn't think was repairable. So there's so much. But the point is, no matter what it is, like I said, he likes to bake, he likes to play cards, like, no matter what it is, find what that is and just be that, like that, as my teacher used to say, be the earth, right? Be the earth for them. Be a stable foundation that allows them to still have the things that they love, participate in doing the things that they enjoy doing, share their wisdom about how to do it and their knowledge that they have, because they remember they lived in a different time in a different world from what we did. Even if there's only a 20-year difference between you and your parents, they still have knowledge and wisdom that can be useful in our world today. So, like, take that in. And even if your way is better, doesn't matter. Let them have their voice, let them have their choice, let them have their autonomy, let them have their say so. So, again, I can't tell you how many times where, especially, a lawnmower that's 20 years old, that's been decayed and hadn't worked forever, it's all rusted out, or my dad will want to fix it. And I'll be saying, oh boy, you have no idea. I have so many things I need to get done right now that are so much more important than fixing this lawnmower that we're never going to use, and it needs to go to the junkyard and da 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 da, right? And but I have to tell myself, it's like, okay, wait a minute. It's not about the lawnmower. It's about our time that we spend together. It's about what it gives him, right? All of those things I just mentioned. It's about what it gives me, right? All the things I mentioned about what I receive in the process, and just incredible, like, end of day, rather than tension and fighting and division, it is connection, it's loving, it is like forging a relationship that when I was, a busy young adult person, and he was a busy, in his work at our younger ages when we were too busy, um, it's an opportunity to get to know each other in a way that we didn't have before. And there's incredible, incredible blessings in that. I cannot really even put them into words. But so again, let's take that into a meditative opportunity. If you can just be again with the spirit of the person or the people in your lives, that if you recognize some of the my voices that I've shared with you about, what the heck are you doing wasting your time? What the heck are you doing wasting my time? Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to do that? Blah, blah, blah. Those things that we do, that you're too slow. Let me take that for you. Let me do that for you. Let me, those things. Like if you have those coming up, just offer those into the center of our circle, into this space of pure divine light and unconditional love and compassion, and let your body be flooded with light. And if you can, just find that place in your heart. Let that light stream right into the center of your heart to find that place of loving care and compassion. You know, the stories that I've heard from my dad, I've heard stories that I'd never heard before about like my mother's sisters, their husbands didn't treat them well. My dad was upset about that. And, you know, um, like things I didn't know were important to him, that are important to me. Things that when I see now break my heart. Things that when he saw broke his heart. But he didn't have the same resources to call on and he couldn't fix it all himself. Just like us. We have a lot more resources now, but there's so many things we see and we can't fix it all ourselves and it breaks our hearts. Those are places of pure bonding and coming together in love and compassion and understanding. And I know my father and I, thank goodness, we mostly agree politically on things, which is another thing that really surprised me. Um, but I know a lot of people who are caring for their parents and they don't agree on things politically and things like that. But even if you can stay in the conversation long enough, I feel like you can find that place of the things of just humanity that we do care about. Or you can find those places that, just being present, they will open up about the wounds that they have and the walls that they've carried because of those wounds. And my dad has even shared some things with me about he didn't want me to make the same mistakes he made because he worked all the time and he wasn't present with family and he didn't have relationships with his children. And he regrets that and he wants to make up for it now. And he wants to make sure that I don't make the same mistakes with the children in my life and with my family. And so those things are just, they're incredibly moving. They really do pierce my heart and they help us to learn. They help us to learn. And my dad, who is like not a woo woo at all. I mentioned, I think as you get older, the veils between the worlds become thinner. There have been like when his sister, 4 hours away, was going into her final stages and making her transition. She was living with her, my dad's sister was living with her daughter, my cousin. And um, as she was starting to make her transition, my dad woke up that morning and told me, yeah, I think Dorothy is ready to go. I can see her. He says, I saw it all night in my dreams, and I can see it even now that she's in her bed. And my dad is one of 9 children, right? And there's only one left that's still living. And so this one, when she passed, they had had quite a few that had gone before her. And he's named where everyone was in the room around her, all of his siblings, his parents. He described the whole room. And he says, yes, I can see it now. Annetta's sitting by her bedside holding her hand. Mary is over here. And he just went around the room and my mom and dad are over there and just like shared the whole thing. And sure enough, that she had gone to the point where she was making her transition. And, so it's amazing and incredible if we can let go of the pictures that we had about them and who they are and our frustrations and impatience that we may have like built up over the years and just be present with where they are now. How can I be with their heart? How can I engage with them? How can I see them through new eyes and come to understand them from a deeper compassion, a deeper place of this is a human being just like I am a human being. This person had a life full of challenges just like I did. This person may have walled up and have some walls around their hearts and some wounds that they're protecting just like I do. And how can I really be present and hear them? Because we all long to be heard at some level, and by just being present with the heart, letting them speak whatever they want to speak for the however many time you've heard it, but really being present. What are they really wanting to say about this? What are they speaking? What's important to them about this? How did it make them feel? What are they telling me about who they are, right? We do this process that we've done many times on this thing that I do in my programs called the journey to the center of yourself, right? Where it's like, okay, what do my feelings tell me about what I need? What do my needs tell me about like what I value, what's important to me. What does my values tell me about what I know inside of myself, my inner knowing? What does my inner knowing tell me about who I am? Right? We do that on ourselves when we are listening with our parents. We get that journey to the center of their selves, right? Where we get to understand them. We get to know their thoughts, their feelings. We get to understand their needs, their values, what's important to them, and we get come to know what they know and who they are, right? We get to take that journey with them to really connect with them on the like inner being to inner being through that journey to the center of themselves as we spend that time with them. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is this again, that recognition of time and space and what's valuable and important in the moment, not taking over, not taking charge, not going with an agenda to fix or be a savior, or not having an attachment to income, letting time, letting like whatever wants to unfold within that space and time that you have, let that like let that set the tone and the meaning and whatever you're there for, the purpose, and let it unfold, be present, and just receive all of the blessings that you can from that time and that space that you have. Is so very important and so enriching. It is very enriching, and we never know when we get another chance to have that. So um all right, if you have called on the spirit of a person, a loved one, to be present with you, just imagine them there in front of you. And if you can, just turn your heart to face them, this eye of your heart, that funnel of your heart space. Just turn your heart to face them and allow your heart to feel. This is, yeah, this is touching my heart as well. Just allow your heart to feel that presence, that love, that connection. And just if you can, just kind of, if there's any of that tension or frustration that comes up, breathe it out. Like inhale it, like engulf it with your inhale and exhale, blow it out. And let your heart bow. Bow with a recognition of like this human being that you have this opportunity to honor and to really be present with. And let your heart bow with honor, with respect, with reverence, and just let go. Let go of the pains. Let go of the agendas. Let go of the frustrations and just be. Kun fayakun, be, and it is. Just let your heart be. And take a full breath. If you need to just really reconnect with your body, you can stretch your fingers and circle your wrists, stretch your toes, circle your ankles, and feel your presence. You can use your hands and just give that firm connection down your arms and down your legs and through your torso to really just be in your body. And I'll wrap up and we can open for Q&A discussion, anything that you want to share. I'd love to hear from you. If you're on Facebook, there's a link there that you can click to get through to the website where you'll see a phone number there that you can dial into, or a webcast where you can type in a response or a comment or something and share that. If you're listening to the recording, you're invited to join us live on Sundays at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time. You can find information for joining us live at communityforconsciousliving.com, communityforconsciousliving.com. While you're there, sign up to receive the reminders and the replays of this event so you can join us live in the future, and you will always have the replays. You can um, uh, have access to. I've got hundreds of replays on the website that you can access, and each one is a heart-centered healing opportunity for you. So you can choose from many topics there. And when you sign up to receive the reminders and replays, you receive 2 free gifts. One is a one sheet that just a one sheet of paper that you can download. You can put it on your computer or you can print it out, put it on your mirror, wherever, to remind you of. It's called the 10 Spiritual Principles of Our Human Existence, who we are, what this world is about, why we're here. And it also comes with a 15-minute downloadable guided meditation that you can download to help you to connect with that pure divine light, unconditional love, and eternal compassion that is the truth of who you are and what you are and why you're here. And I hope that you'll make that a part of your daily practice. And plan to join us live Sunday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern, 7 a.m. U.S. Pacific. Thank you very much. Opening now for Q&A.